Hi everyone, this is Dragon GGY. Welcome to the 11th episode of Module Review Update, and in this one we will cover the batches from 2024 Summer Event as well as the Dungeon Meshi collab. Do note that there will be no recommendation on the specialized modules which debuts this summer. I want to have a bigger sample pool and a better understanding of the direction they're going before I can establish a standard to rate them. But for my honest opinion, I think those are absolutely no-brainer if you play IS and have the character, since they are fun and unique and powerful all in one package. That's it for the heads up. As always, you can catch the live update with my online Google Sheet, and you are welcome to join my Discord server for more discussions. Let's get into it. First up, we have Eyjafjalla Alter X. It's another step ahead to assert her dominance in mitigating elemental damage. Honestly, I have low-key expected them to only give her a 1% increase to the E damage reduction, but they ended up giving 2%, which, with the 5-time multiplier in skill 3, boosts her E damage reduction from 60% to 70%. Is it an overkill? Sometimes yes, sometimes no. For cons, if you have followed my Operator Hindsight, you'll know that her talent 1, which is a massive part of her HPS, has not been buffed. The HPS increase is solely from the base attribute, so for using her in daily, it isn't anything game-changing, especially if E damage is not even present. Therefore, for most players, this module is very optional. But if you've been using her as your standard healer since her release, which I know is true for a lot of players, remember, the more you use them, the more it's worth. So you may consider doing level 1 or above if you use her daily. We have another healer in the same batch, and that's Nightingale Y. With this module, she can now deploy with max summon count, which is 3. In case you don't know, she can always have 3 max. It's just that each deployment without this module only gives her 2. So in some older hardcore runs, sometimes they deploy her, immediately retreat her, just to make sure that she can have 3 summons at once for the next deployment. So if that strat were to be used again, that process is no longer needed with this module. However, that play is not gonna be relevant for most players most of the time. So the biggest con of this module really is giving up all the benefits from Module X, which includes an extra tile in front of her for some great handedness, resistance increase as attribute, which is massive for her own survival. Plus, if you don't even use her summon in battle, this module upgrade is even less relevant than the 5% more healing in X, which we used to despite. So looking at this comparison, Module X is just cost efficient and QOL for using her in any scenario. Yes, we said that the 5% more healing in upgrades are not very necessary, but you get the extra tile and that resistance plus 5 in level 1, which is insane now we think about it. Module Y, however, is more for filling in a very specific hardcore niche. That 4 target base effect is also not consequential most of the time, so my recommendation is 90 to 10 for X and Y. Module X, level 1 or above. Next, we have the Crushes, starting off with Hoederer. Max HP increase plus the healing received increase is a double improvement to him, as his own sustains are all max HP percentage based. So that's a 28% healing increase, and when healed by an ally, it also alleviates his problem as a healing sponge that is hard to keep alive. On top of that, he also gets an increased shelter number, so that's a massive survival improvement both of himself and when he's in a team environment. He also gets a big base attack stats, which is to be expected, and a neuro damage scale to add to his damage. That's a pretty big package in one module. And with 31% shelter, which is the highest you can get as a constant effect in the game, and 10% more physical damage, it's now a more legitimate move to have a dedicated ally behind him to benefit from it. There's no specific best combo, but there are certainly quite some interesting ones, which I'm not gonna get deep into. But looking at the damage improvement, it's 18.41%, which is slightly below average, with the majority of them being in level 2 and level 3. It's about 60-40 in terms of survival and damage, considering that Hoederer is not actually empty. Some may wish for a more damage-focused module, especially when his damage talent is untouched in this one. I was gonna give him a B for priority because I think his burning problems are not solved with this module, including his survival op skill, his damage which involves a heavy RNG, etc. But in the end, I still have to acknowledge that this is already a massive improvement to Hoederer, clearly more so than what Ulpianus got. So while you can wait for his second, supposedly more damage-oriented module, which by looking at the release schedule nowadays is not coming anytime soon, I think this one nonetheless is significant for using him at the moment. Coming to Ulpianus, it's a survival-based module, also a double improvement. It's most notable on his skill 2 use. His self-heal post-warm-up gets a boost from 200 or 320, depending on current HP, to 312 or 420. That's basically becoming immune to damage below 420 and can heal off of them much more than before. So this module greatly reduces his reliance on Gladia when using him in daily. It's much more easier to sustain him with allies and or even himself. Cons for the module is also obvious. There's no offensive bonus other than the attack attribute, leaving just 7% damage improvement. It's less impactful on skill 3 with its hit and run nature and lack of additional sustain bonuses, which is a shame because skill 3 is the reason he's being popularly picked in IS5. It's also less impactful if you use him mostly in AH team because this plus Gladia is definitely overkill on survival. Overall, a great survival package to make him generally more usable in daily, but not a big upgrade to using him in more advanced contents. Next, we have our collab operator Marcille. Right off the bat, nobody wants a 34 DP caster in 2024, so base module is extremely QOL and has implication on her because one of the selling points for her is the fast warm-up skill to AFK, and being expensive certainly doesn't help with that advantage. For the upgrades, level 3 lets you start with full mana when equipping skill 3, and the attack interval is shortened from 2.9 seconds to 2.7 seconds. For cons, first of all, the base attack speed attribute becomes irrelevant once she gets the 60 attack speed from phase 2 of her skill 2. Initial mana increase is quite good for skill 1 and skill 3 because sometimes in integrated strategy you may actually start with her for some crowd control, but that's about it. If you're using her for AFK, usually you would start with vanguards, medics, sometimes 1 or 2 lane holders before Marcille, which gives you enough time to charge up that mana. So to conclude, if you're aiming to actively use her in integrated strategy, level 1 plus is fair. If you are assigning her to AFK skill 2, level 1 is more than enough. To finish up, we have Irene X. To clear up, when she gets kills with her skill, the SP she gains afterwards is not stackable. No kill gives you 0, any kill gives you 6, similar to how Ray's skill 3 works. For pros, the attributes are lovely. High attack, 7 attack speed that brings attack interval down to 1 second if you have potential 5. It gives a damage improvement of 22.15%, at least the highest in this batch, and certainly higher than Module Y and without the Seaborn enemy condition. The buff to defense ignore percentage is not too high, but it brings higher expected return than Module Y base effect as well. The number one beneficiary of this module is actually skill 2, a ASP skill with 2 stacks. Pretty nice against mobs. In fact, this module gives Irene a brand new solo record on the level 7-4. You can check out the clear linked in the description. So for cons, it definitely is a shame that skill 3 doesn't benefit from it as much, since 6 SP is only 1/4 for the skill, and to be fair, at that point, the problem is more on its offensive recovery nature. Overall, I'd say that this is a pretty nice module to have. Sadly, perhaps not enough to justify players picking her back up at this point, but I'd say more consistent mob clearing is an advantage she now has over our next-gen Swarm Master Dagenbrecher, so I'd say that's a win. For comparison, Man, Module Y is almost 2.5 years old, and I can quite confidently say that the new module is better in almost any way, from base effect to attributes to talent upgrades. So I'd overwhelmingly recommend Module X. If you still plan to use her now, level 3 basically a must. So that's it for this video. Thank you all for watching. Catch you in the next one. Bye bye.